Matthew Wayne Shepard, born December 1st, 1976, murdered October 12th, 1998, was a gay American student at the College of University of Wyoming who was beaten, tortured, and left to die near Laramie, Wyoming on the night of October 6th, 1998. He was taken by rescuers to Pondre Valley Hospital in Fort Collins, Colorado, where he died 6 days later from severe head injuries received during his beating. Suspects Aaron Mckinney and Russell Henderson were arrested shortly after the attack and charged with first-degree murder following Shepard's death. Significant media coverage was given to the murder and what role Shepard's sexual orientation played as a motive for the commission of the crime. The prosecutors argued that McKinney's murder of Shepard was permitted and driven by greed. McKinney's defense counsel countered by arguing that he had intended only to rob Shepard, but killed him in rage when Shepard made a sexual advance toward him. McKinney's girlfriend told police that he had been motivated by anti-gay sentiment, but later recanted her statement, saying that she had lied because she thought it would help him. Both McKinney and Henderson were convicted of murder, and each of them received 2 consecutive life terms. Shepard's murder brought the nation and international attention to hate crime legislations at both the state and federal level. In October 2009, the United States Congress passed the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crime Prevention Act, commonly known as Mather Shepard Act, or Shepard's Byrd Act for short. And on October 28th, 2009, President Barack Obama signed into legislation and signed it into law. Following her son's murder, Judy Shepard became a prominent gay rights activist and established the Matthew Shepard Foundation. Shepard's death inspired films, novels, plays, songs, and other works. Matthew Shepard was born in 1976 in Casper, Wyoming. He was the first of 2 sons born to Judy and Dennis Shepard. His younger brother Logan was born in 1981. The 2 brothers had a close relationship. Shepard attended Crest Hill Elementary School, Dean Morgan Junior High School, and Natrona County High School for his freshman through junior years. As a child, he was friendly with all of his classmates, but was targeted and teased due to his small stature and lack of athleticism. He developed an interest in politics at a very early age. Saudi Aramco hired his father in the summer of 1994, and the Shepard's parents subsequently resided at Saudi Aramco's residential camp in Durham. During that time, Shepard attended the American School in Switzerland, from which he graduated in May of '95. There he participated in theater, took German and Italian courses. He then attended Catawba College in North Carolina and Casper College in Wyoming before settling in Denver, Colorado. Shepard became a first-year political science major at the University of Wyoming in Laramie with a minor in languages, and was chosen as the student representative of Wyoming Environmental Council. Shepard was an Episcopalian and once served as an altar boy in the church. He was described by his father as an optimistic and accepting young man who had a special gift of relating to almost everyone. He was the type of person who was very approachable, and he always looked to new challenges. Shepard had great passion for equality and always stood up for the acceptance of people's differences. In 1995, Shepard was beaten and raped during a high school trip to Morocco. This caused him to experience depression and panic attacks, according to his mother. One of Shepard's friends feared that his depression had driven him to become more involved with drugs during his time at the college. Multiple times, Shepard was hospitalized due to his clinical depression and suicidal ideation. On the night of October 6, 1998, Shepard was approached by Aaron Mckinney and Russell Henderson at the Fireside Lounge in Laramie. All three men were in their early 20s. Mckinney and Henderson offered to give Shepard a ride home. They subsequently drove to a remote rural area and proceeded to rob, pistol whip, and torture Shepard, tying him to a barbed wire fence and leaving him to die. Many media reports contain the graphic account of the pistol whipping and his fractured skull. Reports described of how Shepard was beaten so brutally that his face was completely covered in blood, except where it had been partially cleansed by his tears. The assailant's girlfriend testified that neither Mckinney nor Henderson was under the influence of any alcohol or drugs at the time of the attack. Mckinney and Henderson testified that they learned of Shepard's address and intended to steal from him and his home. After attacking Shepard and leaving him tied to the fence in near freezing temperatures, Mckinney and Henderson returned to town. Mckinney proceeded to pick a fight with two men, 19-year-old Emilio Morales and 18-year-old Jimmy Herrera. The fight resulted in head wounds for both Morales and Mckinney. Police officer Flint Waters arrived at the scene of the fight. He arrested Henderson and searched McKinney's truck and found the blood-smeared gun along with Shepard's shoes and credit card. Henderson and Mckinney later tried to persuade their girlfriends to provide alibis for them and to help them dispose of the evidence. Still tied to the fence, Shepard was in a coma 18 hours after the attack when he was discovered by a cyclist who initially mistook Shepard for a scarecrow. Reggie Flutter, the first police officer to arrive on the scene, found Shepard alive but covered in blood. The medical gloves issued by Albany Court Sheriff's Office were faulty. And so she decided to use her bare hands to clear away an airway in Shepard's bloody mouth. A day later, she was informed that Shepard was HIV positive and that she might have been exposed to the virus due to the cuts on her hands. After taking an AZT regimen for several months, she tested negative for HIV. Judy Shepard later wrote that she learned of her son's HIV status while he lay dying in the hospital. Shepard was transported first to Iverson Memorial Hospital in Laramie before being moved to a more advanced trauma ward at Poteru Valley Hospital in Fort Collins, Colorado. He had suffered fractures to the back of his head and the front of his right ear. He experienced severe brainstem damage, which affected his body's ability to regulate his heart rate, body temperature, and other vital functions. There were about a dozen small lacerations around his head, face, and neck. His injuries were deemed too severe for doctors to operate. Shepard never regained consciousness and remained on full life support. While he laid in intensive care, and in the days following the attack, candlelight vigils were held in counties and countries around the world. Shepard was pronounced dead 6 days after the attack at 12:53 a.m. on October 12th, 1998. He was only 21 years old.